Okay, hello YouTube. I'm going to let a couple chatters hop into the box here with me. So if you're watching this recording, you might want to skip ahead a couple minutes until we get going. All right. See, I'm starting to come in now. I'm going to add another little twist to these that I've been doing the last couple streams with throwing another medium in there. So we'll see how that goes. Joan, hey Joan, can you hear me okay? These are actually ones that I think I've done mostly on stream or have shown before. I just threw them out here to have something to look at while I started talking about what I'm going to do. Thanks, Joan. Hey, Susan. So I just want to throw these out here just to show you guys. This is, if you haven't been here, this is what I've been working on. It struck my fancy the last couple times I've been on. And it's just watercolor and some dye ink. Well, it's liquid watercolor, but it's a dye-based watercolor, apparently. Eco line. And some salt, basically, is all I've been using on watercolor paper. Sorry, on Yupo paper. Today we're going to try the same technique on watercolor paper, and I'm going to throw in some Crackle paste. Somebody mentioned that the other day. That's why I'm on so late today, letting the daggone stuff dry. Good Lord. I had to bring some up, lay it on the stovetop, and turn the oven on. So I got a dry, warm area for it to try to finally get dry. Hey, Linda. Hi, Sharon. So anyway, this one here, it's the salt is so cool how this broke up into those squares. I don't know why. There's nothing I put on there that had a square shape in it. That's just salt crystal and how it came out. That's quite the mystery. So I'm just going to move these out of the way. This one was done with that silver black ink. All right. This one I really like. This was the lightning watercolor with the Schminke Glacier Green. And I did peel that. For those of you who might not have seen it, I did peel the gauze off of there. It still looks 3D in person. It's crazy how that looks when it dries. This is the one I foiled last week. Not a fan. Actually, now that I'm looking at it again, it's not super bad, but not my fave. This one's definitely not my fave. This ended up in a big blob. So I put too much of the medium on there. Martha, hi. Hi, Cindy. Anna. It's always an experiment. We never know what's going to happen. This is probably one of my favorites. I love the texture in it, even though some of this color pulled up when I pulled the gauze off of it. It just adds to the texture, and I really like that foil on there. Just the way it laid out, I really like that one. This one I haven't done anything to yet, other than I think this is the one I sprayed with Kmart varnish to see how it would come out. So, yeah, so you can see that sheen all over it. That kind of sealed it. This one I really like. This one too. That one came out nice. It's got foil on it in a few different places. I do like this one. Some I love. Some are like, eh. These were, yeah. So that's why I ended up trying some alcohol ink on there, the gold alcohol ink, and it's almost kind of too much. You can see the rose gold watercolor under that, and then that yellow of that alcohol ink just kind of is overpowering. That's what's on here too. It's okay. Beats a sharp stick in the eye, but, and this one I do like. Oh, there's two. Oh, this one, the rose, that's just rose gold and lunar black. That's all that's on that whole thing. And salt. Okay, so I thought, I wonder how this would work on watercolor paper instead of the Yupo. I know it's going to act completely different, but you know, we're going to try it, right? Hey, Dot. This one's kind of crusty with salt and modeling paste and Crackle paste. So I tried several different kinds of three different kinds of Crackle paste. One was the TriArt liquid, comes from a shop in Canada, and I got turned onto that when I was doing the course with Jane Monteith. So I just put a couple strips of Crackle paste on the Yupo, but as you can say and might expect, it's kind of peeling up because it's a slick. Laura Lou, hello, love. It's you know, it's a slick plastic surface, so you can see some of it's really lifting up. So I don't know how that's going to work. We're going to do it anyway. And some I did just a streak of it on, that's TriArt as well. Down a piece of watercolor paper just on one side. And then I got these little embellishments last time I was over at Queen's Ink. Circles, squares, hexagons, and stars. And I thought, I'm going to throw a few of those in on the Yupo, up on the Crackle paste and see what happens. So they look like they're going to stick because I tapped them in a little bit. And this, again, is the TriArt. But the weird thing is, you know, there's always a weird thing here, right? I used the golden Crackle paste, and maybe it's not thick enough. I don't know. But nothing I did with the golden has crackled so far. And it's dry. It's dry. There's 3 patches on there. It's just dry. This is thicker. It's got fine, fine, fine crackle marks in it. Now, this is where I put some of the bronze little squares that were in that. There's some fine crackle. I don't even think the camera will pick it up over in this area. You can barely see it. It's there, but not much of it. So I rotated using Yupo and watercolor paper and different. Let's see, here's where it ran off the Yupo. You can't see it. It's too white on white. It's absolutely flat. It's just crackled in some areas. Maybe you can see that. See in some of the areas, and other than that, it's just a flat matte finish where it, I don't know if it pulled up and got thicker in these areas. And I kind of made an arc, kind of like this for the circles that I had been making. And this one was a Crackle medium. That's like a finishing layer that you can put over some stuff. This one's really peeling off of here. I don't know if you can see how. Crap, how can I show you that? I mean, it's like sunburnt skin that you just want to peel. So I don't think that's going to work at all. But that's not going to stop us. Watch this. See what happens. I got more. I did one with modeling paste, whatever you want to call it. That's over on the side, still trying to dry. This is more goldens, and it's just got a couple faint crack marks in it. Really faint. I don't know. This one's got, looks like it's going to start to crackle. It's bone dry. I don't know when that crackle's going to be happening, but I don't know if you can see that little bit. It's hard with that. See that little shadows of the crackle? I don't know. I'm going to leave these laying over here in the space heater. Oh, yeah. So they're changing their whole format, Martha. I don't know if you saw that online. They are going to go to like a class-based shop, and the products they're going to carry are going to be to support the classes they're going to have. And they moved from the big area where they had been for years in Savage Mill to an area that was right across the hall, like out their back door. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Yeah, so that's their new business model they were talking about. So let's try, just for shits and giggles. This is the one that's on there in kind of an arc. You can kind of see it. And this is the one where it's crackle smooth, crackle smooth, crackle smooth. So we're just going to dive in because that's what we do. That's what we do. So where's my water sprayer? Here it is. I put things away and then I can't find them. Like, why do I put them away? A 2-part crackle. Do you remember the brand name of it, Dot? I don't have any of that or never heard of it. One or the other. Oh, you know what? Let me turn this other light on here. I don't know if that helps you guys any or not. It's a sunlight lamp. It's got a bulb in it that's supposed to be like a natural light for real colors. We'll see. We shall see. Okay, so this is gonna get wet, and that's part of, what I know is gonna happen. So we're just gonna see what happens here. So I'm gonna do a spray of water in the middle, and I got some other inks out here, some acrylic inks, Liquitex inks. I brought out 3 different colors. Look how that's separated. That's brand new too. That's muted gray. So I'm going to shake that and see if we can. Yeah, she just did a big sale. I didn't get to go over. I was there for the art asylum. I think it was Thanksgiving Saturday. Whatever is happening down there is not stirring up. And I've got a few things in the shop then. Hi, Marcy. Welcome. Mercy. Sorry, my glasses are not. I got to get new glasses. I tell that Dave every day. Dave that every day. Now I'm talking backwards. Yeah, so that's not coming out of there. So we're just going to go with what we have, and we're going to hope for the best. We'll see what happens. I see a couple of these spots are not wet anymore. Oh, Lord, Babe's up there barking because Dave left to go run up to the grocery store. Great. So let's see what whoa, look at that. Some of these really travel. Put a few more drops of that in there. They really explode on the page. Let's see. Let's put a little of this lightning. I almost have this half pan white clean, but luckily I got 2 full pan backups. Love this color. Okay, let's see what happens here. I'll just go on the outside and kind of make a wet ring just outside of the ring that's the first circle that I put down wet. Let's get into a little bit of the crackle over there. That's what I wanted to see. What happens when it gets in there. I've done it on watercolor paper, but oh, that's interesting what's happening there. I don't know if you guys can see that. I know, it's really cool, Joan. I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer so you can see this. It's so wet. If I lift it up now, I'm going to lose some of that. Organic stuff happening there. I'm just going to squeeze some of this out of this brush. I got to rearrange my desk over here. I'm going to grab some of this, the Schminke, what is it? Schminke, the super granulating colors. This one is Glacier Green in the Glacier set. I don't have the whole set, but I have half pans of almost all of them. All right, let's see what happens when we do this. Let's get some of this just in the middle here. Make another ring around this. That's kind of an opaque color. CB! Hey, Brenda! All right, let me see. Oh, Lordy. See, it's getting into some of this crackle up here. You see that little going in the creases of it where it's going underneath? I'm trying to decide if I just want to go with another ring of water around there and let it slowly bleed out. I think that's what I'm going to do. Now that I said it out loud, that seems brilliant. Hey, Tam. All right, here we go. Now we're going to get up into the crackle paste over here. I don't know how that's going to react. I may just really peel this up on the Yupo. We'll do a piece of watercolor paper next. Doesn't seem to be moving much now. I'm going to put this little orchid, pale orchid is already dry here. I'm going to put a little bit of water in here too. See what happens. See who's the boss of those colors. Let it sit there. See, it's getting more and more up here in the crackle. I want to put some, let's do this. I need a smaller brush. I'm going to take more of this lightning, trying to get it kind of concentrated. And let's just go. Let's just go for it. Don't be shy. If you're going to experiment, just dive in. Has the potential to be the best or the worst piece ever. You just never know. Oh, good for you, Martha. Hi, Anna. No, I said hi before. Sorry. I just watched Golden Crackle paste on paper and it just doesn't seem to work at all. I don't know if I don't have it thick enough. I've used it before when I did Jane's class and it worked. It just worked differently than the Tri Art worked. However, I don't know what I did this time that it is just acting rude. All right, I'm anxious to see how that color separates. This is the one that separates into like the turquoise and the purple and kind of a dark Payne's gray blue underneath. So it breaks out really pretty. But now I'm going to throw some salt in here and let that start to do some magic. And again, I'm using this Jacquard silk salt. And as you can see, it's just little, well, they're bigger than, oop, hello, backwards camera. They're bigger than regular table salt, but they don't have any shape to them. They're just crystals of salt. That one still floors me the way it broke out into perfect squares and rectangles when it dried. But this will dissolve in these bigger puddles and it kind of just spreads around to wherever it's still wet. And little particles float to different areas and they settle in and dry in really interesting shapes. I don't know, I haven't experimented enough yet to know if it's the combination of what kind of ink or paint it is, in addition to the type of salt, the type of paper, the brand of Yupo. I don't know what it is. Something's really interesting there. This looks kind of plain there in the middle. It's got a little texture to it, which I like. So that looks actually kind of cool. I think I might leave that as it is, although my instinct wants me to put some kind of metallic in there. That's just my normal reflex. Always add something shiny. I'm thinking. Can you tell I'm thinking? All right. I'm not going to add it to this one. I'm just going to use this to move this one. So let me try to show you this closer up. And these may not dry by the time I finish streaming, because some of these puddles take a while. It's funny, some of it dries almost instantly, and the others, see how it's starting to suck up that pigment and the salt? The others might take till the next morning. All right, I'm going to set this one off into the out of the danger zone. Doesn't look bad. Let's see. So this one, I got to pull you out something. This is a bigger piece of paper. And this is one of the ones that I put in the, oops. All thumbs. So I'm playing, I don't know if you saw any of these. I don't want to pull them all down again. But these watercolor with some salt on Yupo that I had been doing recently. I added in some, I'm going to try some on watercolor paper instead of Yupo. And this one actually has some Crackle paste that I added. And I threw in a little bit of these Nouveau little embellishments while it was wet, so it would stick in there just because I could. And I'm going to use some watercolor and a couple different inks possibly. So how do I want to do this one? This is like a long skinny piece over here. And I want to do it like I did before with like big puddles of water. So maybe I'll do this one. God, you still can't see, can you? I was trying to pull you in some, but it's just not going to work. It's too big. Too big. Hey, Margaret. Paper too big. Uh-oh. Where am I? Okay. Hold on. There they are. Gotta get a little bit of water. Let that get a little gooey on that full pan. So I think what I'm going to do, obsessed with, what am I obsessed with, CB? Are you saying I'm an obsessive personality? Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, let's just friggin' do it. I'm going to spray. This is going to absorb into this paper. And this is nothing fancy. This is just Strathmore. I'm going to make it a different shape, not a circle. But I want it really wet. It's already soaking in. So let's try to get some stuff dripped in here. Let's go with some lunar black, because why wouldn't we? That usually spreads out pretty cool. Let's go with from this corner with this lunar black. Let's going almost all the way up the road there. Get that good pigment out of there. Let's throw a little ink in here. Let's do that. Muted gray has a definite purple tinge to it. Let's do this. This is Liquitex acrylic ink in turquoise deep. Let's just put just a little teeny weeny bit in here. Would any watercolor work? I would imagine they would, Martha. Oops, too much water on the watercolor paper. Having a little runoff over here. Ah. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now I got spritz all over. That's okay. Maybe we'll just add more water up in here. Up in here, like, and let that fan out a little bit more. Oh, that looks a little suspect. Oh, better change that shape. Okay, now I'm going to take, what am I going to do? I'm going to put a little bit of this. Griselda? Hello, that's a new name. Welcome. I'm going to put a little bit of this acrylic ink over here on this. And I'm going to be bold and wet the Crackle paste. And let's see what happens here. I'm going to blend another color in with this. This isn't going to end here. As you probably would have guessed. That's a lot of water. See, that's the thing. This makes this, I didn't tape this down or anything. Just being a little cash and experimenting and all that stuff. So the paper's buckling. It's not, real great paper. It's just regular old Strathmore. And now that I don't like this gaping hole up here, this is just too wet. This is gonna cause a problem. I'm gonna have to pick some of that up. And over here. All right, so what else do we want to do in there? Well, let's oh, you know what I wanted to do? I remember seeing these two colors mixed and they were really cool. This is burnt umber. Oh. And right now I can tell you I'm going to put more black in here because that's just... Trying to get some of this over there in that puddle. Move that puddle around a little bit. Drag some over the Crackle here and there. This one may be a no-go. Patti, as you know, we do. If you're here for Precision Gala, oh, bless your heart. You know you're at the wrong spot for that. This is burnt umber. And this, when I saw it used, made this turn into a really cool looking green. Let's see what happens there. Let's put a little bit up here where that's still wet. Oops. Oh, hell, I just threw icky wet colored paint all over that other piece of white paper sitting there. That's okay. It kind of looks like an alligator. Spooky. See that green that turns into? Let's see if I can try to make this run now. That looks pretty cool over here, actually. That's dry here in the middle, and I don't want that to be dry. See, that's the difference with the Yupo and the watercolor paper. Things will soak into this paper. Right. I know. I tried to correct that, Gala. My initial thought was, since I have this crackle coming down from wide and kind of tapering down, that I go up wide and narrow down on this side, but it got away from me. Oh, crap. What are you going to do? I think I'm just going to leave it like that and throw some salt on it, since it is just, Jan, hi. Since it is just an experiment. And we'll see what this does. I don't know that this watercolor is going to do the same on, the salt is going to do the same on watercolor paper. My guess is it will act like it normally does on watercolor paper. But again, this isn't just regular table salt. I don't know that there's anything different in it. I think I looked at that before. Table grade crystalline salt. It's just bigger bits, I guess. I'm going to put a lot of that in there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to grab a little piece of gauze. And throw a little hunk of that, since that's so wet. You want to play like that? Well, just put gauze on you. Watch, by the time I get this unwound, it'll be dry. That's okay. Got a little hunk of this. And I like to pull this to make it kind of not so straight. A little cattywampus, if you will. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of the, where the hell is it? Here it is, burnt umber. Does anybody know if these Liquitex inks, if they'll dry, if they'll be permanent on a porcelain palette? Please tell. Hey, April, tell me no. I'm going to put some of that on my brush over here and come back and use that to pat down some of that. Try to spread them out a little bit. And then I think we'll throw some rosy in here on this one. Little rose gold. Get more water in there. And then I'm going to put some more of this turquoise ink in there because I have it on my palette here. Actually, I think I'll take a baby wipe and try to spread that out where it folded over. Very tricky business. Not for someone with fumbly fingers like myself. Not sure about this U-shape thing we got going on there. Oh well. Can't win them all. Every once in a while it would be nice, but yeah. Not holding my breath. I'm going to wipe that off my palette before I learn the hard way. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to look at all like the other ones on Yupo. You see those little, excuse me. I think these, the gold ones, I think are hexagons. Yeah, there you go. So if nothing else, I could cut out a little hunk of that. And, all right, so we'll see how that dries out. I'm going to put that over here. This one will probably be dry by the time I finish up. Let's see, what other choices do I have here to work with? So this is Yupo, and this is the Golden's Crackle paste, which is dry and not crackling. So instead of doing a circle, I'm going to do like an abstract, you know, something like that. Yeah, the crackle's always cool if it works. Whether or not it'll peel off, well, it won't peel off of that. That's watercolor paper. But the Yupo doesn't like Yupo. So let's see. What am I going to do here? I'm going to put a wet streak kind of between these two bits, and then I'll add more between here, and then we'll swirl out into the Yupo. So let's do, let's go back to this Ecoline 700 Black Noir, it's called. And somebody told me this is a dye-based, and that might have something to do with the chemical bit of what's going on there. Let's see, how far will that go? Wow, that seems heavier than it was before. Huh. Try to draw some of that out a little bit. What would push that, pray tell? Let's put a little, I don't know, this is the deep turquoise. Let's put a little drop of that in there. What will happen? Oh, look at that. Oh, you guys are zoomed out. Crap. I kind of got a little bossy. So let's put a drop of this down this end. See, it's just like it's acting heavy and just laying there, where before, maybe because it's, I don't know. See how that one's breaking apart there and starting to wick out into the edges? Oops. And Interesting. So let's just do this. Let's get this to wick up into the non-crackling crackle paste. Now, when this gets wet, you can see that there, well, you probably can't, but there is a littlest bit of crackle showing up in there. So maybe not all is lost. I want to move this some. This is a little dark over here. How am I going to move that? Let's go down into here a little bit more. It's even showing some crackle up there that wasn't originally visible. This is the lightning. Trying to bounce that mixture around there a little bit. See how dark that lightning looks before it breaks apart? Almost looks like a Payne's gray. But oh, the magic when she separates. Bless her heart. So now I'm just going to drag some of this down here. Just add more water and more water. And maybe have like a gradient little action going on there. That's looking kind of cool how that's just got those little fingers running down there. Here you can see that purple and turquoise starting to separate from the lightning. Here we go. If you think it's going on like that dark, let's just do that whole thing. A little more watery down here. Huh. That's just odd enough to come out looking pretty cool. Let's stop while we're ahead, shall we? Oh, Jan, it's so good. Hi, Shayna. I don't know what that means. VOIFII. But welcome. Under the sea. Yeah, that's what I was going for, April. Exactly. Funny that you picked that up. Now, I just feel like I should maybe throw a little bit of gold in there while I've got this still that wet. Let's go in this really dark bit up here. Oops. Getting turquoise in my rose gold. All right, let's just do that. That's dry right there. We'll get that moving again, get it wet. Let that do some magic in there. Okay. A brain scan. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going for. An underwater brain scan. You guys got me all figured out. Okay. All right. I think that one might look pretty cool, actually. But let's try to get... connect that one maybe, and connect that one. I may have already stained the Yupo. Oh well. All right, let's get to throwing some salts. Looking for the sheen to see where it's still a little wet. All right. Hey, Glenda. So let's see. I can lift this up. Show you a little bit of what's happening before I move it over to the safe zone. That's the Crackle paste there. See a little bit of crackling down there. We'll see what this salt does. See how it's already sucked up a lot of the pigment in there. That's another bit of Crackle paste. That doesn't look like it crackled much when you look at it now. And then here's where it bled out really faint down the bottom. And it really lightened up down the bottom of this. And that's where some of the crackle is, actually. I think that one might look pretty cool, actually. You can't hate it, people. All right. Over to the safe zone. Now, I wish I would have, and let me see if I did. If I did do any of the Yupo with the, it's watercolor Yupo. Oh, wow, this one's really, so this is Yupo, and this has the Tri-Art Crackle in it, but you can see it's pretty much lifting off. But whatever. Not going to deter me. Let's just I'm going to put some of this Eco line back in there. And what's this one? This is the Thunder that came with that summer set from Summer Storm from Nibs, I believe. Oh, no. This is Xander's Mermaid. That's Z's Mermaid. Messer Designs, welcome. Thank you. Just having a little experimentation this afternoon. See what we can wreck. This is one of April who's on here. April, throw up your Etsy site link up there. This is Tri-Art Crackle. It's liquid, and it comes from a site in Canada is where I've gotten it before. I also used Golden, but it didn't crackle. Golden was on that last one I just did, and you could see it barely showed any crackle, and only you could see it when it put the dark color against it. But this has a blob going this way and one running down this way of the Tri-Art. I'm going to try this, but I'm going to throw, this is a Helio Turquoise. I really do need new glasses. I thought for sure that said Hello Turquoise. Hey, Willina. From Renaissance Paints, April, who was a little creative, one of the mods. So you'll see her name in blue in chat. She has an Etsy shop where she imports these from Poland. They're artist grade watercolors, and surprisingly, being imported and artist grade, they're very reasonably priced. So this Helio turquoise, how bad can that be, right? Oh, there you go, April. So there, April put her link in if anyone is looking for a last minute Christmas gift or a good deal on some watercolors. And her palettes that she sells on there, even empty, they're really nice. You can pull out the rails pretty. Oh, you said now they make them with no rails, right? One of the makes I have is made by Craft. I've never even heard of that company. Interesting. So now I'm going to go, you can kind of see where this is up here and down here. I'm going to get this all wet in between here and just barely bump up against those edges. Okay, so let's put a little bit of this in there. Actually, it keeps drying around that little dollop of, I'm going to put that right on top of that, of Crackle. Now see how that's moving? Why didn't it do that the last time? Oh, a plexi insert that you can remove. That's right. And see how this starts to bleed out into a, see that got dry around there already. That's a piece of, that was a little blob of the, wow, look at that when the water touches. Hey, crazy. Crazy, crazy. And it's drying up where it's anywhere near the Crackle. Look at that, how that one jumped and moved. Isn't that crazy? Why didn't you do that the last time? You crazy. So I'm going to try to get this wet again. It dries out so quickly right around that inner circle. I can't tell you the reason. I've got no clue. But this one too. I'm going to get that a little bit wet again. Ooh, looks like an eyeball. So let's get up here a little bit by the, they look like a couple eyeballs. It's freaking me out, man. It's looking back at me. Oh, mercy. I'm going to add some lightning, grease lightning. It's pretty wet, but I'm going to add this. This is dry, all up here against the Crackle. Get that wet and see what happens. I'll hit the edge of that too. Oops. Look up here what's happening. Not much. Not what I want to have happen. So we're going to go in here. Patti, Amazon sell brands listed. Okay, cool. Thank you, Dot. This is already dry up here, but I'm going to pull this into this Crackle up here. That's a lot of pigment in there. So let's move that around. See how that dried again? This kind of sprawls out and dries. Let's get this working on that. I'm going to get that all wet again because they look a little crazy. They'll probably just dry out again like they were. Hey, Judy. A buzzard and a turtle. Great. I'm the buzzard. Okay, I'm going to put a little water down here. And look at that, how that's pushing that away again. It's like the eyeballs won't go away. It's looking at you, Gayla. You looking at me? Okay, you know what? I want to spray this. Get this Crackle a little wet. And then I'm going to drop in a little bit of this. Let's see what this does. Ooh, look at you. You so crazy. Hi, Lisa. Okay, so I don't know. Do I want this? Looks really cool. What's happening right in here? Let me see. Let me buzz you in there a little bit closer. But look how this dry line is pushing this. You probably can't see this ridge of water, but this from around this little dot again this is all becoming dry, this lighter gray, and it's pushing that wall of water up. Uppity up. I don't know. Do I want to wet this and get it to go everywhere? And this, look how this pushed down from, oh, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to push back. It's like a magnet. Interesting. All right, there's some really deep puddles in this bad boy. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. What are we going to do? We're going to put some salt on it. And then I think in these dark sections, I'm going to put a little of this gauze. And I think I need to do both on some of these because they're such deep puddles. That's the bark where Babe must hear Dave's car out front coming home. Good Lord. Look at that bright turquoise peeking out here and starting to come out up there. Oh, Lord. Shut it, Babe. Sweet Mary. For the love of all things holy. All right, let's try to get that down in there. All right, now I'm going to try to stretch this so we see more of the, oops, not that way. Open up more of the holes in it instead of just a big blob down here, can I? I might not be able to do that now. That's okay, we'll have to deal with it. Give me another little piece. Where's the teal coming from? That's from that lightning watercolor from Nibs Watercolor. It breaks out into a purple and turquoise and like a Payne's gray-ish sort of tone. Well, let's see if I can get this apart. All right, I'm going to throw this. I want to pull this one real wide apart. So there's definite holes in there. That's pretty much been Babe since you left, hon.
What, she's been barking the whole time?
Been yapping a good bit.
I didn't have your breakfast thing.
Okay, that's all right.
Is there stuff down here we want to swap out? Yes. So, I'll leave some stuff in.
Trying to open, not looking at the chat right now. Trying to open this up while I can still move it a little bit. See, this one looks kind of, it's dark paint underneath of it too, but it looks kind of like a big old blob there. All right, so maybe a little bit more salt. I'll show you what the gauze is. It's just for like medical bandage. Oh my God. She's being heard around the world right now. Okay, let's see. What was I gonna do? What was I gonna do? I turned around to grab something. Oh, the gauze. I was gonna show you the gauze packaging. Hello. That's all it is. I just got them off of Amazon. There's a bunch of different brands of them. They're not expensive. I got another type 2 that's on this roll, but this is kind of hateful to work with. I don't remember why, but it was. Oh, Lord. Okay. Okay. All right, I think that might look pretty cool. I'm so tempted to throw in some gold, but I'm going to resist because it's... Well, there's a bunch of salt somehow that got off of there. Let's just throw it in there somewhere. Yeah. See where this taupey brown's coming out of that Ecoline black?
What? What's there?
Come on, focus. Really? Not going to focus. And here's the one with just the black down there. It's kind of going out into a gray now. So we shall see what we're up there. Some of this one's already drying up. This one's going to be a puddle down here for a while. And over here, but all but the first one that I did that had the turquoise and the ink and the brown ink with the black, lunar black watercolor, that was on watercolor paper. This comes out much better on Yupo paper. Because the watercolors, you know, they're supposed to, that's what the cotton paper's for, is to pull the pigment into the fibers of the paper. And when it's rough paper, it, you know, you get more of the texture, especially with the granulating watercolors. However, the watercolors just don't act the same. You don't get that same blendy, wicking kind of stuff. Do I have another Yupo piece? Hang on. So I only have one more Yupo, and then the rest are watercolor. So I don't know. Oh, you know what? Let's do this piece. This is the some kind of Crackle medium, and that's kind of wild, the pattern in there. But it also is splintering up off of this Yupo because it doesn't have anything really to stick to. Hello. Good information this morning. But I tell you what I'm going to do. We're just going to do something crazy on this one. And this is on here in like a kind of an arc streak. Let me back out a little bit. And I'm going to spray this with water. She's still barking and he's home. What do you want? Okay, I'm going to take this rose gold, which you can't see because we're zoomed in. You can see the little corner of it. And I'm just going to go through here and just add it. All over that swatch. You can start to see some of the texture come up from that. And then I'm going to throw some. Do I want to put Lunar Black in there? Or, well, I'll put Lunar Black in and then I'll come back and probably add a little bit of lightning underneath and let that run up from the bottom. We'll see. All right, this is Lunar Black. And I'm just trying to tap it so that I don't break off some of those pieces that are real loosey-goosey already, which actually I see some of them breaking off. So my plan is ineffective. Oh, thanks, April. I'm just trying to mix these two up pretty cool there. All right. See if you can see a little bit more of what that's. I can lift it up a little bit. Lots of texture. I don't know what'll be left when we're done because it looks like it's going to just peel off of there. So this one is Crackle Medium. Let me show you the links for the other two Crackle pastes. The one is golden. That's the one that didn't seem to crackle very much at all. The one that's on here is this stuff, Deco Art Crackle Medium. Crackle Glaze, sorry. Crackle Glaze. And it's like a paste, clear gel kind of paste is what it looks like. And that's to seal art with, and then it crackles and kind of gives it that old look, which I've never done. And this is the Try Art. I'm trying to see if they have. The website's on there. It's in Canada. That much I know. Come on. Really, let's focus. Ah! Seriously? Well, I guess you can see that says Try Art Crackle Ground. Made in Canada. It's www.tri-art.ca. Try Art with a hyphen. Oh, God. This camera. Oh, there we go. Just for a momentary glimpse. There we go. Thank you. Of course, my shaky hands don't help. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's get something else going here. Let's get this. Sprayed, and let's throw a little of this stuff in there. Let me pull you out a little bit now. In and out, in and out. I'm gonna get dizzy. Oh, they have it in the US now. Back when I was doing that class, you could only get it in Canada. Ooh, look at that. Unless the one in the US was always out of stock because of COVID at the time. I do not remember. I do not recall. Okay, so since this kind of goes kind of purple, I'm going to throw some lightning in there, and I'm going to try to connect these two bits and see what happens. I don't know if you guys can see how this is invading the, see how this is kind of whisking, the gold, rose gold is whisking down into this. I don't care, you can't hate it. Oh, cool, April, you have to let us know. Oh, you already ordered from there before that. Oops, close, but no cigar. That looks really cool in there, how that's wisping there. And I think I'm going to leave that. And I think what I'm going to do is let's take a little bit more of this. And I'm just going to pull just a little bit of this from here. Down like that. Some spots that just stayed kind of white in there. We'll throw a little bit of that in there, see what happens. This is already drying. We'll get that moving again. See all those little brush marks, those little bounce marks like that? They're still fluid and they're going to move still. That's not done. It's doing its thing. So now I'll show you, who is that said that? Messer Designs. Which, if you don't mind sharing your first name, so I feel bad calling you Messer. Like, I know I'm a mess, but I'm not sure that you are. And I'll show you some that I've done before where I was doing them in circles, and they kind of had a geode kind of an effect to it. So let's see. I'm just going to do salt on this one. That's really looking cool how that's breaking apart in there. You just can't hate it, people. I'm not going to put any galls on this one. That's what we're going to do right there. Now I'll try to lift this one up. And we'll see what we got. Now, I don't know how this is going to work. Once this is dry, I'm going to spray it with that Kmart varnish and hope that some of that crackle stays in place. But that's what happened with the lunar black and the rose gold over that crackle. I can't tilt these to show the shine on them because this is a massive puddle that's still really wet out here. But see how that's breaking apart? That lightning with all that, the purple and turquoise. Ah, I could eat it. It's not recommended. Don't do it. Don't do it and then email me, especially. I think that's going to be a good one. So, oh, I might actually put this one right here because this watercolor one is pretty much done. Well, it's not completely dry, but manageable enough that I can throw it around. I don't like at all how this overall shape came out. It kind of got away from me. But here you can see this is the Crackle on watercolor paper. That's got some of those Nouveau embellishments in there that I threw in the paste when it was wet. That's still kind of wet underneath of the gauze. So we'll see where that one ends up. This one's watercolor paper, watercolor. One more on Yupo, watercolor. All right. Oh, I was going to show Messer a little bit of some of these other ones that I've done. Let me pull this back out. So this one was done. These are Yupo. This was just lunar black and the rose gold that I make out of creamer pigments. Yeah, I did recognize your name, but I don't know your first. Michelle. Awesome. So Michelle, this was just rose gold and lunar black, which is kind of what I just did on that other one on that one side through that crackle. And then just add some salt and just let it do what it's going to do. But see how wispy that turns out looking? And it looks like pepper when it granulates on there. You can see some of the scars from the salt, the residual that's left there. This one's pretty cool. This one had a big puddle of dark in it, so I just threw a bunch of salt in there. And actually, you know what? I'm going to knock off these bigger crystals of salt now because that's just going to make a mess whatever happens. And we can see what it'll look like under that. Let me get these into the can over here. So that the shiny you see in there is the rose gold. And this purple and turquoise is the lightning watercolor again. I think this one started out with the Ecoline 700, and I think that's mostly what that puddle was. It was just the way it was not laying exactly flat. But that's what people were saying. This was a mess. This one didn't turn out right, and after it dried, I thought, oh hell, I'm just going to throw some alcohol ink on there and see what it does. It's okay, but it's not my thing. And same with this one. Not a fan of that one. I do really like this one. And this one had a puddle on it as well. But look how the salt looks like glitter in there. And it breaks down into real tiny, little tiny shiny bits. There, see that move? That's just crazy to me. This one I put some gold foil on it. And that kind of looked kind of like a rock, right? And more of the salt. I think this is the one that came out looking like little stars in the salt. Oops, hello. There we go. So that's one. This one doesn't have any foil on it. And I did spray this one with Kmart varnish. Hey, Mike, how are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Glenda, that's Nibs watercolor on Etsy. This is the Juniper, P.H. Martin's Radiant Juniper liquid watercolor with the Ecoline 700 is how it started out in the middle. And the brownish golden parts in the middle, that's just those two leaving whatever residual residue there was. That's not the rose gold. You can see the different sheen on it, what the rose gold looks like. You can see the sheen on this whole thing from the Kmart varnish. That's that one. This one I really like. And I thought I messed it up because when I pulled up the gauze, you can see where it stripped back some of the watercolor right off of the Yupo. But it's just gave it more texture. And I do really like this one and how the foil looks on there. This one, not a fan. I went to add foil to it, and when I put the glue down, a big blob came out of the container, and I just thought I'll just put texture in it with my palette knife, and it got bigger and bigger, and now it looks like a weird ear or something. And then I played with the, what are those things called? The quill. What the hell? The foil quill by We Are Memory Keepers, little pen that you plug in and write through the foil and it foils. I just made some little marks with that. And since I knew this one was kind of hosed, this area came out looking pretty cool though. It looks like a rock. Really. Stem on a pumpkin. There you go. 'Tis the season. This one I don't like. Not sure what I was thinking. Well, in my head, it was going to look cool with kind of a ring of this, but it didn't work out that way. And I put the palette knife in it to give it some texture underneath of the gold. That part worked. This one I really like. I did peel the gauze off of this one, and you can see in person it still really looks 3D. And a little bit of salt around the outer edges of this. And this was, I think I started with a big plop of the lightning pigment, which is what this purple and turquoise is. And then when I add water around it, I went in with the Schmincke super granulating and glacial green, which breaks out into this turquoise and gray. And then I put another ring of water and added more of the Nibs lightning around it. And that's the blend of those colors. You can see the salt really broke down into little tiny bits that are still shiny. This is the one I did with this ink. Oh, almost threw it at myself. Yasutomo, the silver black. And I thought for sure the silver wasn't going to show because it really works well on rice paper. And like even my newsprint, when I have that on my brush, I brush it over here and you can watch it go from black to silver before I finish the stroke. Because the ink the black soaks through the paper and lets the silver shine. But on like Tomoe River paper, it looks like you're using black ink. Because the silver is metal, it's heavier, it drops to the bottom, and then the black dries on top of it, which is what I thought this would do. But it didn't. It kind of pushed. That's a big dollop of the black silver. I threw some salt in it and it pulled the black away and you see the silver. And around the edge, you see an aura of silver there. And then I just took my brush with water rings and went around it, added in some lightning. I can't stop using that color. And some salt. The salt crystals really look cool with this blend of the ink and the watercolor. They look really like some kind of craters on the moon. This one is cool. This is back to the juniper green and the Ecoline 700 and salt. And I think that's all this was. But I didn't knock the big crystals of salt off here because they look so cool and you wouldn't believe me if you didn't see it. So I left them on there. But those same salt crystals, look how they formed. Wait till it catches right. You'll see that a lot of them are like perfect, sharp squares or rectangles. Come on, work with me. Come on. Really? There we go. You can see them when they hit the light now that it's focused. How a lot of them are just like right there. That one in the middle looks like a perfect square, and the ones around it as well. How did that happen? And it looks so 3D. It looks like this is like a pocket. You could stick something under here where this dark pulled on the edges of this. You just can't hate it, people. This is what I started experimenting with this ink and trying to get real light, wispy clouds. I put some gauze down here, but it sucked up all the pigment and left it kind of like you barely could see anything. Oh, cool, Judy. It's fine. I mean, you can't really hose it up. It might not come out with the way you think it looks in your head, but when it dries, it still looks pretty cool. But this is where I first saw what the salt did. And I thought, aha, we might have something there. So I just continued to play. Is it me or is that a little lab's face sticking out of there? A lab with glitter. But you can see where I sprayed using this continuous spray bottle. And it gets on the Yupo, it kind of beats up along the edges. And you can see where that ink ran out into those rough little spidery edges and just laid there. I think that looks really cool. And more of the salt around this bit. It looks like glitter. And this one, I had some Schminke effect spray, which is basically alcohol in a spray bottle. Another Judy. Hello. And this has some of this, which I think Xander said they don't make it. I got this from her shop a while back. Paper Fashion liquid metal. And that's what this gold is on here. That I just kind of dolloped it in there and drug my brush around and then hit it with that alcohol spray, which pushes the wet pigment out of its way. Same thing on this one. That's what that spotted look is. Not wild about that one. And this one was one of the first ones I did where I had been doing those other watercolors where it was dragging the brush up and down. And that's just Lunar Black and the Nibs watercolor again. But look, how does this become that? I mean, that was a lot of pigment on there. That's not a thin mush of that. But hello, lover. So anyway, that's some of the ones that where people were saying they kind of look like geodes, right? I do really like this one. That might somehow end up in a frame. I'm running out of wall space. And I really like that one. These are good. These are good. Not so much. Not so much. Good. Good. Anywho, that's the story. That's how we got where we are today. So now this is Yupo. Okay, this is Yupo. This has those little round embellishments from that Nouveau set in there. And this is, again, the Golden Crackle. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, give it a go. It's pretty easy. You just need some Yupo and some watercolor and salt. And I tried it with table salt. It acts very similar. It seems like it even goes to a smaller grit when it dissolves and then reforms as it dries. But this is the gold, and as you can see, a few little teeny tiny cracks in there. And I just put one streak down here because I had a fabulous design in my head, but I no longer know what that was. So you know what? Let's just do this. This has a mixing ball in it. There it goes. You got to break it loose. Sometimes it gets stuck in the bottom with all the silver. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to throw this bad boy right on that Crackle medium and see what happens. I don't know if I want to make it wet first or just do it full strength and see what happens. Probably should wet it. Let's just give it a streak over here on this side. I'll leave the other half kind of dry. Ooh, look at you go. All right, I better get this stuff squirreled around up here a little bit before it just sinks and lays there. Okay. Well, again, in my head, it looked cooler. Let's just throw some more water out there. I mean, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? Let's throw some in here. Let some of that wash off onto here. Oh, uh-oh. Let's do something quickly. What's this? White. I don't want to do white. Oh, maybe, you know what? What the hey? Let's just put some white in there. See what happens. Because I'm not scared. That's actually looking pretty cool where that white's kind of, let me see if you can see it. You can see a little bit of what it's doing. Not doing much, not a lot of movement in there, but let's put something in there that's going to travel. Really travel. Let's do this. This was a pretty good traveler, I believe. That's a juniper green. See, that gets a little bossy. Now let's pull these together and see what happens. Whoa. Wow, that's like open the floodgates, why don't you? Oh, moly. It's running for its life. All right, let's, I can still see some of that silver pigment. You probably can't see it floating in little paths down through here. I don't like this kind of raggedy, not organic line down here. So let's just throw a little water right at the edge of this and make that not so stiff. Wow, that's a whole lot of something going on there. That's just dark. Really dark. The white's actually looking kind of cool in there now. I might actually throw, since it's so light, I may throw some more white down in these really wet bits and see what happens. See, it's sinking down below it's heavier than the blue watercolor. So it's going down and sinking under that and then moving out. So it looks kind of, looks a little crazy. I still don't like what this looks like. So I don't know if I want to take some of that off of there. Watch, it'll probably dry and be all silver and really cool looking. I'm going to use a thirsty brush and see what happens if I try to pick up some of that. And that looks like not so great, but sometimes these are the ones that dry and look really cool. It does look pretty cool, actually. See what's happening in there? Like, I almost want to do something to swirl it, but you can, I don't think you can see because it's probably not on the camera. This little bit up here. See where it's starting to look? And of course, the glare of the light's right in there too. Hello. It's lightening up like right here and up here. It's like an aura's coming up all around the gesso. Not the gesso, the Crackle that didn't crackle paste. It's pushing the watercolor away and the ink away from that, and a little silver aura is coming up around that. So I think down there it's starting to look kind of cool too. A lot of that silver starting to come up in through there. Oops, which you can't see. So I think I'm just going to throw some salt in here and just wait. Be patient. I have no patience. Oh, that's the worst thing for me. Oh, wait. I don't think so. I'm just going to sachet a line of salt kind of up through here. Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to just see what happens with that one. But the Yupo is what really does this trick, because it just, the pigments in the water just sit on top of it. See if you can see that. See that little aura starting to come up, and I can't tilt it because it'll run right off the paper. But those whites bloomed in there pretty cool. And they'll still keep moving because there's big puddles around those. And here where the white dropped under the turquoise. So we shall see. Let me move this out of the splash zone. I'll post pictures on Instagram and Facebook when they dry. So you can see what the final looks like. Oops, that wasn't good. Darn it. Oh. That one I did that we thought looked really cool. Apparently it wasn't a very flat surface it was laying on, and one of the puddles ran off the edge of the paper. We'll see what happens. Not the end of the world. I did put some molding paste on a piece of Yupo. I'm going to see if that's dry. Now I just put this over, looks like rabbit ears. Good Lord, what the hell was I thinking? Well, I know what I was thinking. Again, it worked in my head one way. I had the Crackle paste down here to taper off into this little piece. So I was going to do the watercolor the opposite, and then it kind of got away from me with the sprayer. But I'm going to pull this, in we go again. This is all dry. I'm going to pull this gauze off of here. See what we got left. Sometimes it looks cool. Sometimes it's just okay. Sometimes it's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. All right, let me get some of the salt off of here. See on here, the salt does with the salt you would expect it to do with watercolor. The Yupo is where the magic happens, because it dissolves and then it floats around in the wet puddles and lands, Lord knows wherever else it lands. But here, it does what you would expect salt to do on watercolor paper, right? So there's the where the gauze came up, and that would have been one I would have said, nah, shouldn't have done that. Although I don't like this, it just looks kind of goofy to me. But I do like the Crackle with the little little glitz in it down the side. That's not too bad. I can live with that. Okay, so let's see. Have a little sip of water. And, you know, now I have these done, might as well just throw some kind of pigment on it. What time is it? 6. What time did, oh, 4:30. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty thick. That's molding paste. That's still a little thick on there. So we'll have to wait for that one. However, I got 2 other pieces of watercolor paper, 3 other pieces of watercolor paper. And this one I did a circle of the non-crackling paste. I don't know why. I mean, I can see some real fine, not deep, but real fine, like urges to crackle out here. But what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this one. I know. A rabbit. Not the look I was going for. This is a little bendy. And that's going to make the water pool. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spray the back side of this to maybe fight the warp for when I spray this. Maybe it'll even it out. So I'm just going to spray the whole flipping thing. This one has the little bronze little squares in there. And I tapped it down with a palette knife. And we're just going to spray the whole flipping thing in the middle, around here. And this, I'm spraying a little extra because you know how that sucks it up. The watercolor paper is going to suck it up. All right, here goes nothing. And it could be nothing. We don't know. I wanted to see if this would run into the Crackle, which it's doing a little bit. Let's just throw a little bit of this around here and see what happens. See there, you can see some of the little crackle that was starting in there. Sorry I did that. All right, where are we? Move this out here. It's starting to break up into a little bit of purple. This, we got to do something with that. That ain't going to work. Hang on. I just had a thought. Every once in a while, one will pop in my head. I actually do have them. Let's see. Sky. So I have these liquid metal by Ken Oliver, like the what were his watercolors, but these are liquid. I don't think I've ever used them. Moldy donut. How dare you call my art a moldy donut, Dorothy? This actually, that looks pretty close, pretty cool close up, just the white. That does look pretty cool. This piece, not so much. So I've never used these. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. It's a blue one. Here's a green one called Verdigris. They're just sinking. So that tells me, I thought I had a gold one of these. Oh crap, there it is. When I finally find it, I'm going to mix some of that in. What the hell? Oops, probably should shake that. Hey Karen. This is all a crapshoot of an experiment today. Anything can happen. All right, let's throw some of that in there and see what I can do. I want to get some of that out of there. Not necessarily the metallic, but whatever has to go is going to have to go. Oh, that's a good idea, CB. It's like you're a genius. Will it suck up in a pipette? Only if the pipette is pipetting. That one is not. I bought like 400 of them recently. Oh, wait a minute. There's one. Here we go. There's one bag right here. Separate 10 of a different size that I got. All right. Let's see. Oh, that worked. Now, do I want to put it somewhere else in here? Oh, look at you. It's actually looking pretty good now and there. That blend of those, the blue, the green, and the gold. All right. So now, do I want to drag this out with a wet brush? It won't, of course, act like it does on Yupo. Some of those puddles are very puddly. But I tell you, the white looks pretty cool, if I must say so. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick up some of these big puddles, and I'm going to drop it over in these white bits. This will probably ruin it, but you know what? It's not an experiment if you don't take the risk and have any curiosity to figure this crap out. That's what I keep telling myself. Kayla will be laying awake tonight thinking, why? Why did she do that? And I may be doing the same. I can see where a couple of those aren't glued down. It's going to soak up, sink in there a little bit. All right. Sorry, I wasn't watching chat. Uh-oh, who's seeing an ophthalmologist? The owner of this eyeball? All right, let's try to get a wee bit of these puddles dried up here. It actually looks pretty cool. If only you could see it. Almost done. They were some big old puddles. All right, let's throw some salt on this bad boy. Or do I want to? I don't know. It might look cool just like that because of all the texture in that ring. Looks like a peacock feather in the middle with the blue, the gold, and the green. I might just leave it like that. Salt free, lowering the sodium on this one. Actually, who knows? It could end up being my favorite. I don't like to show favorites, but Oop. All right. Let's see if any of the what time we got here. 6:20. Okay. All right. That might look pretty cool, actually. Wow, that one really changed. I'll try to bring these back over before we sign off so you can kind of see what happened to them since you saw them last. This one's got Crackle on it. That's the Tri-Art Crackle. So let's do something. How about that for an idea? I'm going to put a little bit of water on the Crackle paste. This water is very dark. And let's do, I think this lightning. Can never go wrong with this lightning color. Not if you like turquoise and purple. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. I'm going to try to just keep this on the Crackle this time. Let's see if that's even possible. Instead of having that big blob of watercolor around it. You can already see it starting to separate. The glitter that you were seeing in that last one is actually some of this Nouveau little embellishment set. It was the no, I think that one was the little bronze rose gold squares right here. that I just sprinkled in on top of the Crackle paste when it was still wet when I first put it down, and then kind of tamped them down with my palette knife a little bit. The other ones that I just showed a minute ago, they didn't have any of those in there that I did previously. I just used those today. That was the salt that looked like glitter. Sorry, I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm not big on precision work. Oh, more of a slap and get it kind of girl. All right, now I'm going to go back and just tap a little bit more pigment in some of these areas. Try to get down into the paper between the cracks where it's big enough. All right. There's that. Now what? So that's just, hello. You can see it's starting to separate. Now what do we do with the rest of the page? And now what did I just see? Hello. I said I was going to use this. This is the Renaissance Turquoise. I put it on my palette right there. And then, squirrel, a gnat flew by. I forgot what the hell I was doing. Okay, so let's just, I don't know, what do I want to do with this? Let's do this. Let's just do a zigzag maneuver. And I'm going to use the same paint. And instead of trying to mimic what I'm doing on Yupo, because it won't work, let's just do this. Should have sprayed the back of this too, April. I don't want to waste that pigment. I'm squeezing it out of the bristles. Mama not going to waste a drop of that. Cut that part off. Don't hose it up. You say that like there's a potential of me hosing it up, CB. A little hurtful. Although very accurate. Too late now. It's all wet. Can see it's starting to break apart though. Maybe if I hold that bubble down, these puddles will go away. Never take the time to tape anything down. If you tried the liquid charcoal, that might be a texture with the lightning. I have it laying right there, actually. Ta-da! We'll do that on the next piece. Let me get some of that to spread out instead of be giant puddles. Let's see what that's doing already. I'm going to set this aside and let this bit dry and then do another layer over it, which may be, I don't know, in gold. Who knows? But let's do this. So, April, what do you think I should do, or how would you incorporate this with the turquoise or with the lightning? With your turquoise or with the nibs lightning? What are you talking about? This is watercolor paper. The last one I just put up there to dry is watercolor paper too. Do you mean on the Yupo? I can get another Yupo and try it on there. I can. Yupo. You got Yupo. That's a big one. Let's see if I can get a smaller one. No, that one's empty. Well, small-ish. They're not small. These are, I think they're 11 by 14. Yeah. So just do the whole circle thing again, but use the liquid charcoal. Hang on, what she said. I was thinking with lightning, but you could mix it with turquoise and see what color you get. The last paper you had that was granulating, that was watercolor paper. Okay, well then let's go to the side. I'll do one of those before I go, but this is watercolor paper, and this has some crackle paste over it. So this is a huge tube. This is from April as well, and this is the charcoal watercolor, 60 mil tube. And you got to puncture the top of the tube open, which is good, but it doesn't just blow out of there and surprise you. Okay, I'm going to put some of this out there. And let's see if I do lifetime supply. No kidding. All right, let me spray this. What do I want to put on here? Maybe I'll spray this and put the charcoal. That's resisting. This one, I can see the water beating up on that. How rude. Don't ask me why. I have no earthly idea. All right, I'm going to take some of the liquid charcoal. That's from Renaissance, from April's. Is it A Little Creative Me or Creative Little Me? I forget. Okay, so this is the liquid charcoal. Let's put this over top of here and see what that does. It's starting to fall down in the cracks. That looks pretty cool, actually. I don't know why this resisted it though. Why do you resist me? Oh, crap. Spray the back first. Oh, I should really watch the chat more. Let's see if that'll work. It'll probably glue itself to this under paper. It's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to take another arch in here like this. And I'm going to put some of the turquoise from Renaissance. This is the Helio. Hello, turquoise. Ooh, that's pretty. That's pretty. And then let's put some of the liquid charcoal right in with this. Oops. Let's see what happens there. Kind of mix up a little bit. I'm going to try to connect these two now, but I'm going to connect them with this black to kind of sandwich that turquoise in between. Let me go back and hit this again. That lightened up, but it did start to show the cracks on here. For this crackle is so fine. Hi, Shelly. I like this, the color of this black. It's like a cool black. Puts me in mind of the, I got the Schminke one from Jackson's. That's the grape seed black. And that's a cool black. And this really looks very similar to that Schminke one. Oh, big puddle. See the watercolor paper. It's so different trying to work with that on here. I'm going to have to pull some of that off of there. You can't use that same technique on the regular paper. That's for sure. I'm going to put some, see what it did. It's with that lightning too. Actually, I'm going to make this darker. I want to do that on Yupo too with that charcoal and the lightning. Let's see what happens there. turquoise is really pretty. It's in there. I'll spread that out a bit since it's so much pigment in there. Oh, you know what? I wonder if we put if we threw some of this copper in here in these big puddles, what would happen? Well, oh, that whole cap is kind of like, looks like one of my arthritic fingers. Yeah, you can see it start to granulate now. That's when the real beauty of it comes in. Okay, not gonna work. Look at that. Captain Hook. Well, you're just not gonna be cooperative, are you? Hello. This one might be a problem with this one. Eesh. It really does look cool when it starts to granulate. I'm going to use a piece of Yupo and finish up with, oh, there we go. I'm putting this in these big puddles and just see what happens. Kind of like a patina look with the turquoise and the, put some more turquoise in there. Okay, I'm going to do this. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm just going to throw, I wonder if I should throw some mesh in there since it's so wet instead of salt. Because on watercolor paper, salt's not going to do what it does on my on the Yupo. I saw, oh God, I don't remember who it was. Somebody was using a new Yupo type paper. God, I'm going to say it was something like the site was something like Eco Papers. I don't know if that's right or not. Doesn't sound right now that I say it out loud, but I'm going to pull some of that back in here. Mm-hmm. It's so funny once you play with Yupo a while and then go back to regular watercolor, bear and a raccoon. You have a very healthy imagination, Judy. um, it's so different. Of course, I don't play with either one of them enough to know what the hell I'm doing, but spread that out a little bit. That really did granulate kind of cool up there. I want to see what that does on the Yupo. That over there. let's just do one old-fashioned one. Like the way I first started doing these. So this is just plain old Yupo paper, plain old water in a sprayer. Hey, Nancy. Gonna kind of make a circle. We'll go back to the old geode thing. That's a lot of water, but that's okay. So I'm gonna put a good amount of this liquid charcoal. Let's see how this works. Should have maybe mixed it more in the palette. But let's just see what happens here. This will take a while. You might not see the granulation in this until it dries. Actually, no, I can start to see it already. These ends look like a feather out here with the little small veins when you look real close up at a feather. Very interesting. Okay, now let's get some so it doesn't move as much as the liquid watercolor does. Put a splash of that in the middle of it and see if that pushed it out a little bit. Now let's take a little bit of water and just draw that out a little bit. Sorry for my arm in the way. What if you added a drop of alcohol? That would just push it completely away and make a clear white circle. Ask me how I know. I use that Schminke spray effects, which is pretty much spray alcohol, and it just cleared the Yupo of any pigment, and it just hey Ruth. I think there's a hidden message there, mods. Not sure. I'm going to drop in a little bit more of this out here. There you go. Not sure what that was about. I saw one earlier that was similar, but I never saw a problem come up with it. So we'll see. I can see this starting to break down kind of like Lunar Black does a little bit. Look how purple and turquoise that is now. Okay, let's try. Oh, you know what? I think that has, hang on. Green, purple, sky. I thought I had a metallic purple color burst. Pewter, turquoise, orchid, iron oxide. Really? I have purple, but not a metallic. So let's go with liquid pewter. What the hell does that look like? I know what it's supposed to look like. Don't let it go to your head, April. All right, this is the liquid pewter. Ken Oliver. Let's just put a little circle around here and see what happens. And actually, I'm going to squirt some in the middle there. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. All right, let's go. I'm going to drag this out again so I get some real light, wispy bits when it dries out here. It's funny how it'll just drag out one spot. I don't know if there's something under the paper that's causing it to do that. How this is all going this way. That pewter's kind of pretty in there. It really is. I think I'll put a little bit more of that in the outside ring. It's got kind of a purplish cast to it. And actually the label looks almost a little purplish. All right. You could just play and play and play with these. I run out of space to dry them. Yes, it does kind of remind you of that. It's gray with the purple cast to it. It do. But look how that's broken out now. And this is really granulating very nicely with the charcoal. Looks pretty cool in there. I wonder if all right, I'm going to go with some salt. And this one has the rings kind of holding up in it pretty well. A little overflow over this way, but this might get a good geode kind of an effect. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter. And along this, where this is really pretty heavy in there, heavily pigmented, hit some little extras in there. And we'll just see what happens. All right, let me see if I can pick this up without any. Oh, that one's too small. See if I can show you what that looks like in the center there. See how it's starting to look like pepper, kind of breaking up in the middle. So I don't know if you can see that metal in here down in this area in the purple where the pewter is starting to mix in there. You can't see it, and I can't tilt it. No can do. So I'm going to find a very flat spot for this one because I think this one's going to look pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll bring a couple of these back over that are movable. This one. And this one's pretty dry. This one's pretty dry. I only carry so many of these at a time. Okay. So this is the one we did with the light gray ink that turned kind of purple, and it had a swoop of crackle around the outside edge. So it's still kind of wet, but you can start to see that's over the crackle. Remember, this is the one that had the spotty crackle on it. It was crackle smooth around that arc. Still a little wet there. See that little, how that salt's real fine over here, that little tiny, you can see the big granules, but you see that other dusting, that's the salt that's melted away from that. And that's still working. And this is the one that had the 3 patches of the crackle that didn't crackle, the non-crackle crackle. And then I went from dark to light. It looks pretty interesting, actually. There's some, I'll show you some spots that look pretty cool. Like up in here, how saturated that is. And it just looks like texture. It doesn't, you don't really see crackle in this stuff. I don't know what the hell's up with that. And then there's the rose gold, sucking up some of the dark pigment and the rose gold. And this, where this is a cool texture. It's really fine texture, crackle. It's all the way through the thickness of the paste. And then look how wispy. See that area right there in the center where it got real wispy? And see the sparkling of the salt as I move it? That's the salt granules that have moved in the water when they dissolve. You can't hate it, people. I don't care what you say. This one is pretty dry. The oh shit! As I say that, look what happened. Ooh. Oh, but I said shit. What do you know, Gail? You got one to write me up on. I don't know if this is going to stain this paper or not, but we're about to find out. Nope, not bad. Try to get a little bit to keep a margin around there. Okay, this one's pretty cool, actually. Let me lift this one up. I'll have to wait until tomorrow to pull the gauze off. See how the gauze suck up all the dark pigment? But here's the crackle. This is the tri-art crackle. Oops, sorry. It looks like a little mosaic, and when because the colors of the nibs lightning watercolor separate, and it looks like different puzzle pieces put together because it's not a consistent color. Very interesting. And then down here, that looks really different. Look how that looks like. I don't remember what's down there. I have to go back and look at the tape. If that's the nibs or if that's just the, I don't know what that is. Oh, you know what? I bet this brown or whatever the black was I used ran in here and kind of wicked through it, I bet. Because look how different that top looks to the bottom. This looks really cool. That looks really cool. I'm going to have to do something with experimenting with the crackle paste and different papers for like to use bits like that for collage. Yupo's not the most collage friendly paper. Okay, that's those 3. Hang on. Let's see what else is movable. I better take 2 instead of trying to do 3. These are kind of wet still. So close yet so far. Hang on. This one over here. Here's the one that I did the black silver ink all down this bit of crackle that didn't crackle, the uncrackle medium. But if you can see where the white kind of splayed out, it picked up some of that silver. Oh, I could scream when this dang thing doesn't focus. And my arms get kind of wobbly. Having shoulder surgery on February 11th, so my shoulders are jacked. But it did pull some of that silver. There you go. You see some of that silver? Even in the darkest part there, see that little bit of a silver sheen that's showing? Even some of that turquoise crept up there from way down here. But though I do like that white in there. That's pretty cool. And this is a really pretty turquoise in there. With the white. That did some really cool blooms. So, what else? I think I another one. Oh, this one. This one on the watercolor paper. It's still got a little puddle in the middle. And I like the way it looked better wet. Look more peacocky. But remember this one with the crackle and the circle and watercolor paper and the little bronze squares in there. And then I added the metallic, liquid metallic Ken Oliver to the black ink. It kind of dulled down from what it was. Can't say it's my favorite, but yeah, I think there's one. Oh, this one. Yeah, this is the one that I thought was going to look really cool, but then the salt really ate up a lot of the pigment. And it wasn't setting even, and it ran off the friggin' side of the page. But this wisp bit in the middle here looks pretty cool. That's Birdie. And this is the one with that Crackle glaze and Lunar Black and Rose Gold. The Lunar Black is pretty much eaten up. That went bye-bye. I wonder if I should try to wipe that up or if it's going to stain or if I should just leave it. It looks like a nose or something. I mean, I guess if I wanted to mount this on something, if I got that serious about it, I could cut around this edge and then mount it on black or something. I don't know. Of course, I couldn't stand it, and I'm trying to wipe it off now. Which actually, it's mostly working. Just a little bit of a shadow, which I might be able to take some alcohol and clean that up. Nose, it's just had a nosectomy. Actually, that might be pretty cool. See with all the flash of the rose gold everywhere in it when it catches the light. You can't hate it, people. Try as you might. You will not succeed. And this one's still not dry. This is on watercolor paper. It's still moving. But this is the liquid charcoal. Check out April's shop. She has the link up in chat there earlier. And yeah, I don't think this in my head didn't come out the way I wanted it to. But when it dries, I may do another layer to it and get this darker. One never knows what I might do. I never know what I might do, so I wouldn't even dream that you guys would figure that out. I do have this one piece of Yupo. And this is the one with the modeling paste on it. You know what? What time is it? 7:04. Oh, Lord, I'm cutting her close for my getting ready for Yellowstone. Oh, here's this one. See how that color all separated now? Tell me that's not a gorgeous color, people. You know what? I might just come down with some gold scripting over top of this and call that one a day. Let me remove these. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. I'm really anxious to see how this black, white, and turquoise one settles down when it all dries. Ooh, this one's doing some crazy stuff over here that I just finished with the cuter metallics in it. All right, real quick, I'm going to throw something on this one and then we're going to call her a day. Okay. Let's go for some old faves on here that I know will do magical things. But this is molding paste. It's pretty much dry. Thanks, Dot. This one, I just came back and I have this one sitting here looking at it. That one looks really cool. But I love turquoise and purple, so I can't help it. I just do. Okay, so I'm going to wet this all down. I'm just going to spray the whole flipping thing in the sort of the center, staying off the left and right margins more. And we'll see what happens. And let's throw a couple drops of this Ecoline 700. Let's throw one up in here and see what happens. Yeah. Let's try that again. All right, let that do its thing. And we shall throw in some lightning. Where? Just in here. Let's see if we can pull some of this down or if that pulls up. See how watery, and that's just laying in a big puddle. But when that breaks apart and just goes on all these little fingers of wherever gravity pulls it, it looks so freaking cool. Squeeze that pigment in there. Don't want to lose a drop of that. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Tell you, I'm going to go back to this pewter. See the purple breaking out of both of those watercolors and inks? I'm going to mix a little bit of that pewter somehow up in here. Just kind of willy-nilly on the texture of this molding paste. Now I'm going to, I don't know if I want a little bit of that white to show or if I'm going to kind of drag it. I don't know, the white's kind of interesting in there, isn't it? I think, you know what? I think I'm going to just do that and throw some salt and call that a day. But this right here is drying up already. I don't want that to dry yet. I want that to move a little bit more. Very interesting. Hey, Dar. Thank you. All right. Let's hit the salt. Oh, man, that's breaking up so cool. Oh, my gosh. I almost don't want to put salt on it. But I'm going to. Maybe I'll just put it in certain concentrated areas, like this real wet bit right here, and see where it moves. Through the piece. Okay, we're going to call that baby done because that might just be really good. See how quick that was? Now, of course, it took hours for the damn molding paste to dry, but I mean, other than that, look at the color starting to separate up here out of just that eco line, and then the nibs lightning. You can't hate it, people. You just can't. I'm going to let this one just stay right here. I'm not even going to move it. Not going to risk it. My luck, I'll trip into a header in it going around it. The other side of the table at this point. So I'll be sneaking back down here tonight to take a look at that after Yellowstone. All right, kids, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate the company. Otherwise, I'd just be down here talking and cussing to myself, which I do. But anywho, I appreciate it. Everybody stay well. And I'll post pictures when these are done doing their thing. See you guys. Thanks, mods.